Hey guys, welcome back to another one of our YouTube videos. So for today, we're going to be telling you guys how to thicken and restore your natural hair. We are definitely masters of this because once upon a time, we had extremely severely damaged natural hair, and we managed to thicken our hair so that it looks a lot more voluptuous and restore it so that it's definitely the type of volume that we want in our natural hair. And so yeah, we'll just share these 3 tips that we have for you guys today. First, definitely stay consistent with your scalp massages. This is very, very important. I actually saw this girl on TikTok talk about the science behind it. Massaging your scalp very frequently is really great for hair growth and stimulating blood flow and helping with the hair cycle process. So personally, we use castor oil. You guys definitely know this by now. We say it in probably almost every single natural hair video. Now that I think about it, we just keep repeating it. Why? Because it actually really does help, and it's not that hard to do, honestly. But the only thing is you have to be consistent, so you can't just do it once every couple of hair wash days. You're not going to see a difference. And I think possibly maybe that's why our hair grows on the quicker side, because I always massage my scalp with Jamaican black castor oil, although I forgot for the past week. So this is a good reminder for me to massage my scalp, because sometimes I forget. People do it for a lot of reasons. I know some people, they do it before their wash day just to get their scalp prepared for washing their hair and make sure their scalp is on the stronger side. And normally people who do that, they have thinner hair or they have straight hair. But you could also just do it after your wash day and consistently put it in your scalp. As long as you make sure you're not overdoing it, there really is no negatives. Besides, it could obviously clog up your scalp and it might just weigh down your hair, which is why clarifying and doing all those other type of things to your hair is very important. And you could clarify, by the way, in case you don't know, by using apple cider vinegar. You could clarify by using a clarifying shampoo. There's a lot of ways if you're so concerned about the downsides to oiling your hair. And some people might say it's actually a natural hair myth to consistently oil your scalp. However, we would definitely say that's the complete opposite, and it's actually very helpful to oil your scalp. Just make sure you don't apply too much, and as my sister said, definitely make sure to clarify your hair. Next tip that we have is to wear your natural hair more often. I know this could be very hard for some people, especially if you're not super confident in your natural hair. I feel as though we were confident in our natural hair, but we just like to straighten, so that's why we straightened it a lot in the beginning of our natural hair journey. However, if you continue, actually we were in the beginning of our natural hair journey, so afterwards we decided to keep our hair in its natural hair state and just wear it out. And I believe that making sure you wear your natural hair out is actually the best way to help it grow and for it to thicken up, because when I think of other hairstyles such as protective hairstyles and straightening your hair, it's just causing a lot of damage to your natural hair. Although I know this might be referred to as a natural hairstyle, like box braids, knotless braids, boho knotless braids, all these different types of hairstyles. However, I just noticed for me personally, it would just weigh down on my natural hair. It looked super cute, but it weighed down on it, and I feel as though I would always see those white speckles at the root of my scalp, and I think that was my hair literally being pulled out, and that would cause the thickness of my hair, and also my hair would still be damaged from that pulling and the tightness. And there was a lot of traction definitely when it came to braid. So I just made sure I stayed with my natural hair, did natural hairstyles. I wore a lot of braids and twists during the pandemic, so I wasn't going out with my hair like that. And that helped me with my confidence, because after a while my hair just began to thicken a lot. Yeah, I mean, we were raised by a Caribbean mother, so I think naturally that was always the hairstyle we had. When we wanted to get braids, we had to ask for braids. Our mom didn't just put it in our hair. That's why when our hair became damaged, literally the only other hairstyle we could do was just wearing our natural hair, because that's what we were doing before. But we just knew, okay, let's stop straightening our hair and just wear our natural hair for a very long amount of time. And what we mentioned before, think about it, when you get braids, there's just so much factors that could risk your natural hair health, like traction alopecia, the dandruff, because you're keeping it in for so long just to get your money's worth, which I understand because we did the same thing. You're also risking the gel that they put in your hair. You don't know what they're putting in there. You're putting your hair health in the hands of a hairstylist that don't even have hair themselves sometimes. They don't really care about your hair, they just care about the aesthetic. So they're putting pounds of gel. When they're parting your hair, they're ripping it out. There's just so much negatives to getting braids. And then when you get your hair straightened, it's the same exact thing. They really care about the aesthetic and not really the health of your hair, so they're not just gonna pass twice. They might pass literally 6 times one section if it's just not looking as straight as they like. And they're putting the most random product. Also, just the amount of heat. When we got our hair straightened, it would first be blow dried. Sometimes it'll also be put in a roller set, and then it will be straightened multiple times. So that's just so much heat that you're putting. You're risking your hair to be straight damage. But compared to just wearing your natural hair, there's really no downside unless you don't know how to do your natural hair. But if you know how to do it, the only downside is probably it's not your aesthetic. But at the same time, if you care about your natural hair health, you have to sometimes look at the pros versus the cons. And also you can find a way to make it cute. Subscribe to us for natural hair inspo. If you don't have any like ideas, or if you're struggling with ideas of how to do your natural hair, because we have a lot. Like this one, I just have cornrows going back, although the braids, I put them in the back of my hair for this video, but I have cornrows in the front, and then I braid the back of my hair, then I open it after a week, so it looks like this now. And heavy on the hairstylist part, because we learned the hard way. We got our hair in some braids, and I remember they were so rough on our head, and it seemed like they were almost like annoyed that we had so much hair, and they just kept blow drying it, then they started to detangle our hair with a fine tooth comb. So yeah, they don't know how to do thick hair. In the hairstylists, they were of the Black diaspora. I don't know which country specifically, but their hair was also natural, and it was probably more like coily than ours, but it's just the fact that we had so much of it, and it was so long and it was so thick that they just did not know how to manipulate it.
Exactly.
And I already paid for the hairstyle, but back then I didn't realize I could just get out the chair if I wanted to, because clearly they just were annoyed that they had to put so much work into our hair.
Yeah, and I remember specifically remembering my personal hairstylist had traction alopecia, and that should have been a sign for me to get out of that chair, because that caused my hair to get very thin. And over the course of doing this so consistently for like years and years, your hair is probably like half of its density than it's actually supposed to be. So please give it a try. And for all you know, your hair might just like look so much thicker. If you consistently wear your natural hair for like 2 years or a year, you're gonna definitely see a difference. And then the last but not least one will be getting consistent trims. This is something that we've only been doing for about 9 months now. Right now we're in March, or are we in April? March, yeah.
Right now we're at the end of March. It's March 30th. I think the first time we ever started getting consistent trims was last year in August, like 17th. We did it on different days, but the end of August, so it's been like 9 months. Sorry about the math, I don't know. The reason why I say consistent trims is because I could see the difference of how my hair looked when I first got my trim before and how it looks now. And it's really a big difference. The ends of my hair were thinner, obviously, which is okay. It depends on the person, but if you want as much thick hair as possible, you need to get trimmed so that you could cut off those straggly ends that's been there for years and decades. For us personally, we had straight damage hair before. Some of the ends of our hair were literally from when it was straight damage, and then it converted to being curly after us taking care of it, but still it wasn't at its maximum thickness, so it looked different than the root part of our hair, because obviously the root part of our hair is the healthiest, so it was the thickest compared to the ends. So for us, getting that trim was very much a necessity. For you, that might not be the case if the ends of your hair managed to convert back to what your natural hair looks like, which is very good, and I hope that happens for you. But for us, that was never really the case. Like, I could always see that my hair was different from the ends than from the roots, because we just didn't get trims like that, and if we did, it was like a little bit and it wasn't consistent.
Yeah, and I know you might be very scared to try getting a trim, but I would definitely say find a hairstylist that likes to show their clients, like they'll get a piece of paper, show you where they're gonna cut. And there's a lot of hairstylists out there that is willing to cut how much you want to cut, just at least getting a little something cut off, whether that's like 2 centimeters. Now, it doesn't even have to be like a full inch, although I would recommend that if that's what your hair needs, but definitely cut off just a little bit and you'll notice a difference. Like, once I got my trim, I realized, oh no, I really needed that, and that's why I decided to be more consistent with my trims, because you might not even realize it, but your hair might actually need one. So side note, guys, where we used to get our trims, we're gonna change our hairstylist just because there were a couple of things that we didn't like. We'll probably explain it in our next hair trim video, but like she said, make sure your hairstylist shows where they're gonna cut. Our hairstylist was doing that initially, but after we started going consistently, she stopped doing that. So that's something that we don't really like, and that's why we recommend you guys to make sure you get that type of service done, because it is your hair after all, and that's the least they could do. It's not that hard to take a picture and show the client, that way you're not surprised when your hair gets cut off. Exactly.
But at this point of our consistent trim journey, we feel like we're getting more hair cut off than what's needed, and we're also not sure if every split end is being trimmed off, which is very much important for both of us. So we decided to find another hairstylist that is more skilled at giving hair trims, not in a negative way, but I feel like you have to advocate for yourself, and the best way to do that is voice your opinion, and if it's never heard, then just go to someone else, or just, you don't have to voice your opinion. Thankfully,
you could go to another hairstylist. You don't really owe anyone anything. Like, at the end of the day, they're here for money. So that's the way we look at it.
Exactly. But definitely don't let our experience affect yours. Like, just go and try getting a trim, because I would say after getting my first trim, I noticed my hair just looked a lot thicker. I guess it's because it was a lot more even, and it's kind of like an illusion that once your hair is more even and it's more of like a blunt cut, it makes your hair look a lot more thicker, fuller, and restored.
Just like when some people get a bob, their hair all of a sudden looks thicker than when their hair was before, because that blunt cut just makes it look way fuller. And we'll insert pics of everything that we're talking about just so you guys can get a visualization. That's the end of our video. I hope this helped you guys. If you guys want more inspo videos, definitely subscribe to us, because we do a lot of natural hair content. We show a lot of natural hairstyles. We show a lot of natural hair content in general. Our wash day routine, fun things like that, hair tips.
And yes, we hope that you guys follow these tips so that your hair could get extremely thicker and restored, because that's something I definitely wanted at the beginning of my natural hair journey, and I finally got what I wanted after following all these tips as well.
And if you're thinking, wait, how long is it going to take for me to really see a difference? I think a year. Obviously, it depends on the person, but no matter what, if you do all these things in a year, you're definitely going to look back and be like, wait, my hair is completely different. It's exactly where I want it to be, or at least I see some improvement. Just because everyone's hair is different, but at the same time, within a year, you would have grown at least 3 inches, because I think they say you grow 1 inch of hair every 2 months. Something like that. It's something like that. So within a year, you would have grown inches, so you can see a difference. So
And that's it. We'll see you guys in the next YouTube video.
Bye.